Hello and welcome to the Film Pulse podcast. This is episode number 281. My name's Adam Patterson. With me today, we got Kevin Rakestraw. How are you, Kevin?
Pretty good.
All right. Good to hear. This week on the show, we'll be talking about Duncan Jones' latest Mute. It's out on Netflix right now. We'll also be going over some new releases in theaters, VOD, Blu-ray. We'll be going over some watch list stuff. The usual. Just gonna do the usual.
Why not?
Let's jump into Mute, shall we? As I said, this is directed by Duncan Jones. I have a synopsis here. A mute bartender goes up against his city's gangsters in an effort to find out what happened to his missing partner. This stars Alexander Skarsgård, Paul Rudd, Justin Theroux. Kevin, what did you think of Mute?
From your tone there, I have an idea of what you felt about it.
Well,
just that little bit.
I'm sure something tells me we're going to be on the same page, but let's find out.
One, I didn't know that he was going to be Amish.
Neither did I. That was a surprise.
Which, no, that doesn't work. Like
that doesn't work at all.
It made no sense whatsoever. I didn't understand that. So, like, right off the bat, I'm just baffled. Just outright baffled that the mute bartender is also Amish.
See,
I don't know why. Like, why he had to be Amish. What was the idea there?
See, the thing is, we grew up in Amish country. You're either Amish or you're not Amish. There's no, like, kind of in between.
Yeah. And it's so weird. It just made no sense. Like, did he have to be Amish? I mean, the only reason that you would have him be Amish is because the little bit there at the beginning where they're like, to get his voice box repaired, like, went against their religion. But you don't really need that. It could just be like they couldn't afford it.
Yeah.
Or it was just unsuccessful. Like, there was really no need for him to be Amish outside of, like, his woodworking, where they showed some of his woodworking, which wasn't good.
No, it wasn't.
It's awful. I just had a really difficult time getting past that. Like, to have it be set in this, like, futuristic Berlin and then him be Amish. And then there's, like, the one shot of, like, on the street where there's, like, 3 Amish guys.
Mm-hmm.
Just, like, looking around like, what the hell? Like,
it felt very weird.
Why would the Amish be in the city? Like, it makes no sense for them to be in the city. There's nothing for them to do there.
Yeah, you never see Amish people in urban areas.
They farm. That's all they do. Like, they're not going to adjust their beliefs and move into the futuristic Berlin.
Yeah, they avoid that area as much as possible. They try to live outside of society. They stay in their own small rural communities, and that's it.
And then this unstoppable Amish killing machine, which just even more bizarre. Like, there was nothing that led you to believe, like, this man, there's, like, no amount of training, nothing that would lead you to believe that he could just mow through Berlin's underbelly. You know?
He's just a beast. He's just an Amish beast.
What? No, I don't get it. It's just a really bizarre idea.
It is. I think the best part about this for me was the moon Easter, or I don't know if it was an Easter egg or a callback or what. That one little scene at the beginning with Sam Rockwell.
Yeah, which I enjoyed, but also at the same time I felt like it was like unnecessary, and it was just kind of like, it felt a bit forced. Like, hey, you remember I made Moon, right?
I think it
Good.
was just a
It was a
fun.
good movie.
There's a big fan base for that movie, and I think that it was just a fun little callback. Like, hey, this is in the same world. Like,
Yeah.
it's in the same. This is happening. This is the Earth that he came back to. And I think that's kind of cool. But at the same time, I was like, wait a minute. Let's go back to I just want to see that movie. Like, that's the one I want to see now. I want to see
Exactly.
all the Sam Rockwells living in this world. That's what I want. I don't really care about Amish Alexander Skarsgård beating
No.
up on people and evil Paul Rudd. Is it? I don't know if that's a spoiler.
I don't know. Well, that's what I was wondering too. Like the story that we have here, the plot or whatever, to me was wrapped up pretty early. Like at least I thought you pretty much know what happened, and then it just keeps going and going and going until it gets to the conclusion. But like his partner, I think you pretty much know, don't you? Early on, what happened to her?
Yeah, I mean, there's definite clues that they leave. Like the text messages that he starts to get. You can put the pieces together there, and then there's one line that he says, like, when Paul Rudd's like, I think he's looking for so and so, and the guy's like, Justin Theroux's character's like, well, he's gonna be looking real hard. Like,
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah, that's what I mean.
There's
That's what I mean.
there are little clues that he definitely dropped.
And after he says that line, there's still like an hour and a half of movie left. It's just like, okay, yeah, we know. Like, we can speed this up.
Yeah, but we don't.
If
But we
it-
didn't know the how and the why.
Yeah, but even then, when they to get across the how and the why, he does this really clunky. To me, it was just a flat out cop out of the flashbacks of like Amish Skarsgård having like, oh, I'm kind of remembering things, which it just felt really clunky. Like you had to put them in there to kind of cover up these holes in your narrative that you had instead of just writing a good narrative.
Like he like somehow he remembered the like being drugged and all of that stuff. Like it was coming back to him. Like, oh yeah, I remember being asleep and Paul Rudd being in there and drugging my stuff and like I don't know. It just the whole movie is clunky. That's the thing. The whole movie is actually when you look at it, it's a mess. The movie is an absolute mess through and through. I mean, from the first like 10 minutes, you're like, oh boy, like this is going to be a rough ride.
Oh yeah,
this is going to be a real rough ride.
And hell, it doesn't even really get going until like an hour in.
Yeah,
like an hour in, it's like it actually like kicks in and like, okay, this is the goal. This is what we're moving towards, and you're just like, what were we doing for the first hour? You didn't really set anything up outside of like minor character introductions. Like I didn't really learn too much about these people.
Yeah.
Like, did it need to take an hour?
And I love how it took Paul Rudd's character that long to figure out that Justin Theroux is a pedophile. Like that he was like a total disgusting perv monster. Like this guy also, this is a guy like they set it up like they've known each other for years and years. They were in the military together. They
served together.
Yeah, they knew each other like brothers. And it was like he's just now coming to this realization
even before that, like I knew.
Yeah, exactly. Like it was very clear.
Just from a couple of like lines from him, you're just like, okay, he's disgusting. I think he has a pedophile thing going on.
Yeah.
Which again, that felt really weird. Like there was such an odd inclusion.
It was
to make him a pedophile.
It was very weird, and they spent a lot of time on it too. Like that scene with him, and the young girl with the leg, like that scene and stuff. They spent so much time showing us that this guy's a monster,
Well, then
But
you finally have the confrontation with him and Paul Rudd, and they play it super serious. Like Paul Rudd is, he's going after him, he's giving him an ultimatum, he's threatening him and all this shit. And then like 5 seconds later, they're like, "Let's go celebrate. We're best buds." And it's just like, what?
yeah, and then we're getting into. I think we're getting into spoiler territory here, so I may put just a spoiler tag on this because I think we're revealing a lot here. But anyway, he betrays him. Like when after he hits him in the mall or wherever they are, and he has that run in with the security guard. Justin Theroux betrays him, and you're just like, what? Why?
Well, and he even told him that he was doing this. Before that one, he's been doing it for a while, and he tells Paul Rudd. He's like, "Oh yeah, I've been messing with that barman."
Yeah.
And it's like, why is Paul Rudd still, trusting this guy or even hanging out with him?
Because they're brothers, man. They serve together.
I don't know.
They have a really weird relationship, the two of them.
Yes.
It's just none of it seems to make a whole lot of sense to me.
No.
But really, not a lot in this movie made a lot of sense to me. Like the decisions that were being made, I was just like, what?
And it also, I thought it was really odd for this to be, this futuristic Berlin, and then to go with the odd choice of making him Amish, where he's like, he doesn't use any of the tech that's in future Berlin, and they don't really use that much tech at all in the movie, which it just felt kind of odd to make it this sci-fi thing, but not really
Yeah.
all that much. I think the only interesting aspect to me was that there comes a point where Amish Skarsgård he kind of utilizes some of the tech in the world to try and track her down. And what I found interesting is with his disability, the tech didn't have disabilities in mind, at all.
Mm-hmm.
It's just for able-bodied people and people that can talk and hear, and it didn't take any of those people into consideration. But that lasted 5 minutes.
Yeah, right, exactly.
Because it's weird that he utilizes the dinner delivery service with the drones to find her apartment, but yet when he's trying to find her mother, he just checks out all the telephone books in Berlin.
Yeah.
And goes through I'm pretty sure there was the internet in that library that you could have just used and probably found it faster.
I guess
you had the phone number.
I guess he didn't know any better.
You could.
I mean, that was one thing I did kind of like. I liked the sort of following the clues and him sort of piecing together where she was and going, picking up the breadcrumbs. I thought that was one of the more compelling aspects of the film. I liked where that took him, but just as a whole, it just was just not a very cohesive narrative, unfortunately.
No. And I also found it odd is when he starts confronting everyone and beating them up with his bedpost that he has, which was just ridiculous.
Yes.
There's this big showdown where, you've kind of seen this massive German bodyguard guy throughout the movie, right? And then it finally comes down to a one-on-one with Amish Skarsgård and that guy. And he takes the robot leg, and then it just skips over that. It just, why?
Yeah.
Set it up as this big showdown, then you're just nope.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. There were so many decisions made with this movie where I'm just like, what? I felt the same way about the Warcraft movie that Duncan Jones did, where it felt so messy. there were so many characters and not enough development of the characters. And I feel like, I don't know, like when I look at his movies and I think about Moon and what a great movie that was, I'm thinking maybe the reason that was so successful is because it was such a contained, sort of isolated story. It was involving one character, and
Yeah.
he developed that character. And then I look at a movie like Source Code, which I thought was also really good, and that mainly focuses on Jake Gyllenhaal's character. And then you start like Warcraft, you're dealing with kind of a big ensemble, and then it has this kind of big sprawling epic narrative, and then it gets messy. It's like he's not quite sure how to handle these kind of bigger worlds. And I felt like that was sort of how it was in this one, where he does build this interesting sort of cyberpunk-esque world that I like, and I like spending time in, but it's like what he does with it is just not enough. It doesn't feel like he's developing these characters enough, and he's not really developing the story enough for it to be very compelling.
No. Yeah. I think a lot of it comes down to like maybe don't make the main character Amish.
Yeah, I think it was.
He got off on the wrong foot. He started off terrible. Like that was just a bad idea from the start.
Yeah, I mean, even
him.
yeah, that opening sequence too, like of him in the water as a kid, and like the injury and all of that stuff. Like even that felt kind of silly, the way it was shot,
like,
and it just didn't really work. And then like
someone close to him just should have been like, this, one note. How about you not make the main character Amish? Like, just make him a regular guy. Let's just do that.
I like the idea of him being mute. I like the idea of him being mute in this world, this futuristic world where you don't have mute people because they have implants that can fix that. Like you said, when the brief moments that they explored that, where this is a world where many things are guided by voice, and he doesn't have a voice, so he has to come up with other ways to communicate and to do what he needs to do. But they didn't really do a lot with that.
No, like I said, they do like 5 minutes of it where you're like, okay, this is really interesting. Like, how is he going to navigate this world without his voice? And then it's done because he checks out a shit ton of telephone books, and you just have this montage of him with his little magnifying glass.
I also really wasn't sure. I mean, maybe I missed something with this, but I wasn't really sure that Paul Rudd's actions were really justified, like what he ended up doing. Like, I get that he was trying to leave with his daughter, and he was going to do anything and everything to make that happen. But
yeah, but
what was
there was a big thing for me is you have that going on, which he spends a lot of time with, but I never once got the idea that the mother was trying to get the kid back.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. Like, was she planning on taking the daughter and leaving, or like what was happening with that? Because I never got the sense that that's what she wanted to do.
Yeah.
I mean,
she never mentioned the kid once.
I mean, maybe at the beginning, before she disappeared, when she was kind of running around, maybe that's what she was planning on doing, was taking the kid and leaving, and he found out, and that's why he did what he did. But it still felt so anticlimactic, I guess. It just...
Yeah. No, it was. Yeah, very much so. That's what I mean. Like, the whole basis of this is Amish Skarsgård trying to find his girlfriend, and early on you have a really good idea of what happened, and then it's just keeps drawing it out, drawing it out, drawing it out. And then it does this shitty, clunky flashback of Paul. This is what Paul Rudd was doing at this point in time, where you're just like, okay, so you explained everything to me, but yet we're still going to drag it out? Why?
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. There's so many aspects of this movie that were just completely perplexing to me.
And there was... Oh, sorry, go.
I was just going to talk about the extreme amount of violence that happens towards the end. First of all, great death scene with I mean, I guess we're just going full on spoilers now, but Paul Rudd's death scene, pretty epic. I loved the gurgling. There's so much gurgling.
I enjoyed him utilizing his ability to hold his breath for a long time.
Yeah, that was awesome. I liked that
because I thought that was pretty badass to just hold someone underwater and just stare him in the face.
Yeah,
as you drown him. I
liked that.
But early on there's him doing swimming his laps, right? And I thought, with him not being able to talk, I bet you any money there's going to be a scene where he's frustrated and just full of angst and just he's going to be underwater and he's just going to scream and you're not going to be able to hear it. And I really hope he doesn't do that because that's going to be so ridiculous. And of course, in the midst of him trying to find his girlfriend or whatever, apparently Skarsgård finds time that he's like, I'm going to hit the gym.
Yeah,
and do a couple laps.
Just got to do a couple laps. Just got to burn off some steam here.
Do a couple laps. So he jumps in, and the first thing he does is he just grabs the ladder and he screams. Yeah. And that's it.
My prediction was that he would somehow get his voice at the end and utter one phrase. And my prediction pretty much came true.
Yes.
Which was another crazy. I mean, I guess I sort of understand why he did it, but the whole taking the time to perform that surgery and giving him the voice box and all of that.
Why?
I mean, I guess because he wanted to hear him say he was sorry, but still, that's what? You're doing all of this. You're performing this major surgery on this guy and patching him up just so you hope that he says sorry? Come on.
Why would he say sorry?
Exactly.
What makes you think that this guy's going to apologize for killing your friend who was a complete piece of shit? Why? When you're planning to kill the guy anyways.
Exactly. It made no sense other than so that we could hear Alexander Skarsgård utter a few garbled words at the end.
Yes. And surprise, he didn't really have much to say.
No.
He's a dull, uninteresting person that's mediocre at woodwork, I guess, and doodles.
Those the bear pictures were pretty good.
They're all right. Everyone was just so uninteresting.
Yeah. Well, I thought Paul Rudd's character was he was interesting, but he was sort of an enigma in that he was I don't know, he's bipolar or something. He had these manic phases and
I mean, I did kind of enjoy his and was it Just a Throw?
Mm-hmm.
Their chemistry together.
Yeah.
But Paul Rudd he felt like he was in a different movie. I know he was there to provide some sort of comic relief.
The comic relief was okay, but he was such a shitbag character that you're just I don't really want to laugh at what you're saying anymore because you're a shitbag.
Yeah. And it's this again. So what is this? Maybe one of the first ones of 2018 for Netflix, like their big releases, and it has that brand of next Netflix blandness to
It
it.
does. It really does. Like after I was done watching this, I was thinking to myself, man, I'm going to be really struggling to review this because I just have so little to say about it. It's just, and it's funny because you think you see like the trailers for this, you look at the cast, and you're like, man, this is going to be a big one. It's seemingly big budget. I don't know what the budget was, but it all looked very, very high quality. But it's just there just wasn't anything there. I would much rather. I would recommend watching the other dystopian future Netflix show, Altered Carbon. Is that the name of it? The one with Joel Kinnaman. I would. That one is so much better than this movie. It's
but does it have an Amish protagonist?
No, it doesn't. It does not have Amish Skarsgård in it.
No, I want to show it to my neighbors. I want to show it to my Amish neighbors.
I doubt they'll be so confused. Take an iPad over there with it, and I just want you guys to see what's happening here.
I want to see what they're doing.
Like, I know you don't know what an iPad is, and I know you don't know what Netflix is.
No, they know.
No, I know they know. I know, but
I just feel like, what do you think of this?
I would.
The movie set in futuristic Berlin.
If I could get,
for some reason, you guys went back to the homeland to bring back like tradition or whatever.
If I could get an Amish person on the show to talk about it, that'd be great. Like if I could find somebody that's in, they're like,
I could probably find a former Amish, like the guy that built my deck. He was former Amish.
Oh yeah, we could find somebody that's on Rumspringa. Talk to them. Man. Yeah,
it should be a new thing. The co-host every time it's Rumspringa. Just watch some movies with them.
I probably wouldn't.
They'd be seeing like some of these, they'd be experiencing movies for the first time.
Yeah, it would be interesting.
They get their thoughts.
Yeah, it would be very interesting. Shout outs to Noel Clark for being in there. I was pleased to see him in there. I'm a fan of his, but played sort of a minor character, but he was in it more than I expected.
Yeah. Shout out to no one on my end. Sorry.
Well, I'll just say I like Alexander Skarsgård, but I didn't think
he didn't do a good job. He wasn't really given much to do, but he didn't wow me, like where I was in like, wow, he's conveying a lot of emotions without being able to use words.
Yeah, it wasn't it wasn't
was just like, he's not talking. Okay.
Definitely wasn't a Shape of Water situation here. I wasn't like blown away by the nonverbal performance.
Yeah, it wasn't like, oh man, this is a really nuanced performance. Not being able to utilize words, like he's conveying a lot of emotions through gestures, and facial expressions.
Yeah, but like you said, I think it's more just the character itself he just played this kind of stoic, bland nobody. Like, so I'm not sure that the performance is on him or just on the directing and the script.
Yeah.
Well, that's Mute. Let's go ahead and give it a score. What are you going to give it?
Man, I don't even fucking know. Like a 3?
I'm giving it a 3.5.
Ooh.
Just skip it. Just skip it. It's totally not worth your time. Probably one of the least enjoyable movies I've seen this year so far.
Yeah. Oh, definitely.
I would say that I enjoyed this a little bit more. Actually, you know what? pretty much on the same level as Cloverfield Paradox. Maybe I liked.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that.
Maybe I
one.
liked Cloverfield a little bit more.
Damn Netflix. I'm starting to think. You know how we were kind of throwing it out there. Are people going to be able to overcome that Netflix brand, or are they going to be taken down with it? And I'm starting to think they're going to be taken down with it.
We still got a number of big ones coming up.
I'm just really curious to see what happens with Scorsese.
Yeah, I read that that one's starting to go like huge budget. I read that it's at like $140 million right now.
Good Lord.
So it's
if Netflix is able to take him over, you know what I mean, to be like the dominant one.
Yeah.
In that production, then we know that Netflix is just a machine that will chew up anyone and everyone. You're just gonna make mediocre, bland work.
Yeah, see, it's funny because like right now I'm still cool with Netflix. Like I'm still cool with Netflix. I still like Netflix mostly for their series, but they haven't like angered me yet. I like Duncan Jones, but he's not like one of my favorite guys, you know.
Yeah.
But once we talked about it before, the Gareth Evans, Jeremy Saulnier, Martin Scorsese, once these three come out, if they're bad, I don't know what I'm gonna do. I might have to just drop my subscription or something.
You're just gonna be pissed.
Yeah,
pissed off.
No, I'll keep my subscription, but I'll just be a total hypocrite and like bitch about them all the time.
There you go.
That's what everybody else does, right?
Yeah, you're right.
Yep. All right, that's Mute. That's on Netflix if you want to give it a look, but I wouldn't recommend it. Let's move on and talk about someone we're watching on the watch list. I think I'll start off this week. Saw Annihilation.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so this is the new Alex Garland. You may remember him from doing Ex Machina a couple years ago. This one, I don't think I liked it as much as Ex Machina, but this is really good. Highly recommend checking out Annihilation. I was worried about it just because of the time frame when it's coming out. I was like, man, I don't know. I really hope it's going to be good, but there was some hesitation in there, and especially like the Netflix thing where they're releasing it internationally. I was like, I don't know. Well, I'm very happy to say that it turned out really, really, really good. Great performances across the board. Some of the best visuals. Holy shit. When they go into so the premise of the movie is that there's this mysterious sort of dome that appears, and it's called Area X, and anything that goes into the dome doesn't really come out. So they don't know what's going on inside of it. And they send several expeditions in, and only one person ever came out, and he had like no recollection of anything. He didn't know how he got there. He didn't know anything. And they send in another expedition. This time it's all scientists. So before they were sending in like military people, and now this is like a group of all scientists. So it's like Natalie Portman, Jennifer Jason Leigh, Gina Rodriguez, Tessa Thompson. And they go in to see what's going on inside of this dome because it's actually getting bigger. And it's sort of like, they think it's like sort of consuming everything around it. Or inside of it, rather. So they go in, and it turns out that it's sort of, everything inside of the dome is sort of like remapping the cells in all of the living organisms that are inside of it. So you have these like kind of crazy mutated creatures and plants, and then like as soon as they enter, like they start to experience some really weird things happening to them, like they're losing time, and it sort of goes from there. more of a it's definitely sci-fi, but it leans heavily towards horror as well. There's a lot of horror elements to it. This is based on a really popular book series,
Yeah.
and it's awesome. The again, the visuals are incredible. Some of the like plants and trees and creatures that they come across are just stunning. I mean, like I expected there to be a really kind of distinct style, because with Ex Machina, that was like one of my favorite aspects of that movie, was just the look of that house and like the objects within the house and everything. And Garland definitely takes it. This has a completely different aesthetic than Ex Machina, but it's equally as detailed and sort of lush. And that was great. The horror aspects of it were a bit of a surprise. There's some really intense scares in this. There's some pretty intense shit that happens, and it does get pretty bloody at times. There's some awful things that happen. A lot of kind of like skin crawly type moments where, because it almost reminds me of like a body horror movie sometimes, and in some of the things that happen. But it's excellent. I would definitely recommend checking it out, going to see it in the theater. Annihilation.
All right. Looking forward to that one.
Yeah, I think you'll like it.
Sounds kind of up my alley. I finally got to catch up with the Florida Project.
Oh yeah. We were having a little bit of a discussion about this on Slack.
Yeah, this is the one of the big ones from last year that I still haven't gotten around to seeing. So finally rectified that situation. Solid. To me, in some ways, I found it better than Tangerine, and in other ways worse. The main aspect that I thought was that Sean Baker did much better with the Florida Project than he did with Tangerine was kind of like the split character storyline type deal,
right,
with Willem Dafoe and the mom and her kid, Haley and Mooney.
Yeah.
Like, to me, the Tangerine, that was one of the things that I thought the way that how he followed the cab driver,
that was,
and like his life.
Completely agree. Yeah, I thought that was the only weak spot for me in Tangerine, was
exactly
the pulling away and following the cab driver.
Same here. I thought here he did it much better. But I wish he just stuck with Willem Dafoe, because I hated Haley and her kid, and I hated them the whole way through. And I just overall really didn't like the movie that much. I thought Willem Dafoe was great, and everything that involved him. But at the same time, like this character of Haley, oh my goodness, just awful. Like, do people that make movies know that there's poor people that aren't awful?
Well, I don't know.
Like, exist.
I don't know that she was.
She was awful, dude. She was terrible.
I think that she was trying to be a good mother.
She wasn't.
You can see that. There's certain scenes where you can see her trying, at least making
once in a while she tries. Once in a blue moon, she tries.
Sure, there's poor people that are good parents, but this isn't that story. These people aren't, and I would say that if you want to see her friend, I can't remember her name, but Ashley, who lived underneath of her, I would say that she's a better example of that. Yes. She was clearly a better mother and a better person. And even the grandma that was in the hotel or the motel next door.
And I just wasn't buying that, like them becoming, like Haley was so fucking terrible to her. Like towards the beginning. Like, she's just awful. And then there's that scene where Willem Dafoe goes over to like try and help out where that the agreement that they had with the other hotels. That one was like, no, we're not honoring that anymore. And he goes over to pay it, like to help. And they're like, no, we're not taking it. And Haley just takes the money and leaves. So like, that's not your fucking money. He's trying to help you.
Yeah.
Asshole.
She's not the best person. That's for sure.
No, she's awful. She's an awful person. Just overall. And I, like, we already kind of talked about that, but that ending, holy shit, that was terrible. That just felt like he had no idea what to do. Like the cinematography changes and that music kicks in and they just start running. Oh.
I enjoyed the ending. I understand why people had a problem with it. The only issue I had with it was just from like a logistics standpoint. Like, how did they get in there? Like that was my biggest question, but it didn't bother me.
And I think that like that had a huge impact on like swinging me, because I think up until that point I was just kind of like on the fence. You know what I mean? I was just kind of like in the middle where there was, I like parts of this, I hate other parts of it. Like overall, kind of in the middle with it. And then that music kicks in and she grabs her hand and they start. And I was just like, nope, I'm done. Nope. You,
so I did.
You pushed that pendulum the whole way to the other side. I'm out. I tapped out. And then the way that it ended, I was literally sitting there and I was just like, the fuck was that? What just happened?
Sorry it didn't work for you. It was my number one movie of the year. It was Blake's number one movie also. Yeah.
It is not mine.
I think if you can't empathize or become attached to Mooney and her mom, then you're gonna have a real problem with the movie.
Oh yeah, you definitely do. I was so happy when the child services came.
Wow,
this was like good, because she shouldn't have that kid.
That
sorry,
probably is for the best.
Yes, exactly.
I mean, they're living in a motel, for God's sake. Like it's not a very conducive environment for a child.
No, but I mean, other people were making it live in a motel and still make it work.
Sure, yeah. I mean, look at the grandma. Seemed to be, she had.
It's probably better than a lot of other apartments you can find.
Yeah. I mean, we don't have to keep getting into it. There were a lot of things that I liked about it. A lot of very specific things, like the fact that the condos were right there, like these giant condos that were just completely vacant right next to this motel where all these people are forced to live together. And there was just a lot of aspects of this movie that I really loved. And I thought Brooklyn Prince was amazing.
She was pretty funny here and there. I think my favorite part was when she was like, I'm going to eat a strawberry and a raspberry together at the same time.
She goes, that's gross. That's so gross.
Like, oh man, that's gross.
On the Blu-ray, there's a making of, and they show what they did with that scene, and it's pretty fun to watch. She said that was her favorite scene to shoot in the movie because they just let her eat whatever she wanted. All right, that's the Florida Project. Kevin hates it. I love it. All right, I saw The Survivor's Guide to Prison. This came out this weekend. This is directed by Matthew Cook. He's the guy who did How to Make Money Selling Drugs, which I really liked a lot a few years back. This one it feels almost like a companion piece to How to Make Money Selling Drugs because it's about the prison system. And as we all know, those two things are very closely tied. And he gets into a little bit of the whole people getting arrested for nonviolent crimes and, getting these ridiculous sentences for light drug charges and things like that. But what the movie is, if you saw How to Make Money Selling Drugs, he presented it sort of like this cynical how-to guide where he would go through these like bullet points, and he does the same thing with this one. So it starts off, it goes through every aspect of the criminal justice system. So it starts with, if you get pulled over or stopped by an officer, like how to handle that, and like what happens, what to do if an officer starts to get aggressive with you, stuff like that. And then what happens if you get arrested, what happens if you end up going to county lockup, what happens if you go to trial, go to prison, like all of these different things. And then once you're in prison, things to do in prison to sort of survive. And it also, like his previous film, has this sort of cynical take on it, where it is a how-to guide, but also each of the bullet points is sort of pointing out one of the major flaws in our criminal justice system. He ends up interviewing a handful of people who were wrongfully accused and convicted of crimes that they didn't commit and have been previously exonerated. The one guy was in prison for 26 years for a crime he didn't commit. And, you know, it just, it definitely fans the outrage flames, for sure. Like it's definitely a movie that will get you angry. I've seen a lot of documentaries and a lot of TV shows and things about our broken criminal justice system. Not a lot of new information here. There's some things that were kind of interesting that I didn't really know about. And then so he interviews, you know, he also interviews some experts in various fields. Like he interviews like some police officers and some detectives and some lawyers and a lot of different people. But the main thing that he does is he interviews celebrities. A lot of celebrities, like a shitload. And that's kind of one of the oddest things about the movie. Like you can just look at, I'm not going to list all of them because there's like 25 different celebrities, ranging from like Danny Trejo to he interviews a lot of rappers, including like RZA and Busta Rhymes, to Cynthia Nixon for some reason, and Danny Glover. And it just seems like this kind of mishmash of like people who you're just like, all right. I mean, I guess like they were, all right, sure. Why not? Susan Sarandon narrates the film along with Matthew Cook himself, and he interviews himself a good bit too. And it's okay. It's an okay movie. There's some interesting things. It has this kind of in your face style that his last movie had, which is okay. It's okay. I'm okay with it. Quality wise, this one didn't look quite as polished as his last film, and it's definitely messy. One of the complaints I had about How to Make Money Selling Drugs was just how it had a structure, but it felt like it would just constantly take these like detours, and it's like, okay, we're going to talk about this for right now, but we're going to come back to this later, and then we're going to sort of branch off and talk about this for a little bit, but then we're going to come back to the main topic. And this sort of does the same thing, where it has a very loose organization to it. Overall, not too bad. I mean, if you want to learn more about how fucked up our prison system and our justice system is, take a look at it. And one of the things that they talk about is like, you know, people always think like, yeah, it's a messed up system, but I don't need to worry. I'm law abiding. I'll never be in a situation where I have to go through it, you know. But shit happens all the time where people end up getting arrested and charged with crimes that they didn't commit, and it's definitely something to be aware of. Anyway, that's Survivor's Guide to Prison. I think that is out now on VOD.
Okay. All right. I have nothing else.
Okay. I'll blow through a couple other ones then. So The Lodgers, this is another one that came out this weekend. This is by Brian O'Malley. He did a movie called Let Us Pray that came out, I think, in like 2014. I really liked Let Us Pray. It was this kind of nasty, sort of nasty supernatural horror film. Very dark, very violent. The Lodgers is more of a classic gothic style horror movie. It takes place in the 1920s in Ireland, and it's about this brother and sister who were sort of secluded into their family estate. This giant mansion that's like sort of falling apart and decaying, and then they have these this sort of sprawling grounds, and you learn that there's some sort of family curse, and the daughter is trying to break this curse and leave and escape from the house, but her brother sort of just accepts it. He's just like, all right, here we go, let's just do it. I didn't really enjoy this movie. It looks awesome. The cinematography, all of the production design, like the house itself, the grounds, like all of the environments look awesome. Just super detailed. The horror aspects of it, so sort of the supernatural things that occurred, look pretty cool. There's this like big water theme in this movie where everybody sort of looks like they're floating in water, and there's just water everywhere, like spewing out from everything. And it looks cool. It gets a little bit repetitive. But overall, the story just didn't grab me. I thought it was pretty bland. And ultimately, this is a forgettable one. I have a review for this up on the site.
This is interesting because it's just like when you said you saw The Lodgers, and I pulled up here on IMDb and kind of just looking at the cover, and it's Ireland and the storyline and everything. That was my immediate thought. Is like, this seems like this would be really forgettable.
Mm-hmm.
And it seems like that it would be slow moving.
Yeah.
And it'd be going for atmosphere, which it might kind of get, but at the end of the day, it would just be forgettable.
Yeah. And that's exactly what it is.
It's not good when you can go to it like for your film and just kind of look at some of the specifics of it and kind of map it out from there.
Yep. I also saw November. This is a new one that came out this weekend, directed by Rainer Sarnet. It's an Estonian film, shot in black and white. It's sort of a fairy tale, dark fairy tale movie. This premiered at Tribeca last year. I wanted to see it there, but I missed it. And but it's out now. Oh boy. This one, again, really strong visuals in this one. Holy shit, this movie is gorgeous. The black and white is just stunning in this. Some of the scenes, I mean, this is one of these movies where you can pretty much just take any frame and hang it on your wall because it looks incredible. Really weird. Like tonally, this movie is just, it's all over the place. A lot of it is comedic, which is very strange because you look at it and you don't think this is going to be a funny movie at all. But there's just a lot of goofy stuff that happens. Like in one scene, everybody in the village is concerned about the plague coming. So what they do to avoid the plague is take off their pants and put their pants on their head and then lay down so that the plague thinks that they have two asses and won't go near them because they have two asses.
Mm-hmm. All right.
And then
It's kind of airtight.
yeah, yeah. It's a really weird movie. There's these everybody in this village has these robots that do work for them, and these robots are the devices that are made by the villagers, and then they get this guy to take a soul, and they inject a soul into this robot, and then it becomes like their servant. And these robots, they just want to work. They just want to do work. At one point, they turn a snowman into one of them, but that snowman's not happy. He's just not happy in his life because he's a snowman and he can't really work. But it's so weird. I don't know. I mean, I didn't love it, but it's definitely one worth a look.
Yeah, just I mean, based on you don't get many movies like that.
Yeah, it's
like from what you told me about the Lodgers, that sounds kind of dime a dozen, right? November, this sounds at least you have the aspect that it sounds wholly unique.
Yeah. There's nothing like November. You won't say anything like this movie. And again, it's worth checking out for the aesthetic alone, because it looks so awesome. This movie just looks. At one point, they do like the whole movie is it has this sort of European vibe to it, like lots of like kind of static shots, and it's very, very beautiful. And then like at one point, they switch to like straight up POV shot of this person attacking these people, and it's like it turns into the fuck was that movie called, the movie that was like all in POV.
Oh,
the hell was that movie called?
Are you talking about there was the action one?
Yeah, whatever that one was.
Yeah, that one. That thing.
Yeah, it's all over the place. It's really, really weird and worth a look. So
because that movie called
Hardcore Henry.
There you go. Got it.
The whole time in my head, I was just thinking Drop Dead Fred. That's what I was like, Drop Dead Fred. I know it's not Drop Dead Fred, but that's all I can think of in my head right now. That's really all I have that I can talk about right now.
I think for both of us, I mean, that's a kind of a disappointing week, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, I mean, Annihilation was really the strong one for me.
You at least have that, yeah. You at least want to get one in there.
Yeah,
a week.
Yeah, Annihilation was definitely the strong one. All right, let's move on and talk about some of what's coming out in theaters this week. Got a couple big ones, nothing I'm too interested in. We got Death Wish. And I saw a trailer for this, and they made him a doctor. They made him a doctor in this.
Why?
I don't know. Keep him as the architect. I want to see these land surveys. I want to see him telling us about concrete and the benefits of doing concrete over other materials. That's the best part about the original one.
Yeah, that's really... And why would you go with something so uninspired like doctor? He's a doctor. If you're gonna change it, at least making it as...
They're probably gonna have him do like use his doctor skills to like torture people or something. And there's gonna be like a scene where Bruce Willis is like, I just cut your left ventricle. You have 30 seconds to tell me what that's gonna happen.
Oh man.
Anyway,
that's dumb. This is dumb.
Yeah, Death Wish I have no expectations for, no desire to see. It's directed by Eli Roth too, so I don't know, we'll see.
I thought you were joking. It actually is Bruce Willis.
Yeah.
The fuck is this?
It's a Death Wish remake. Where were you at?
I don't know where I've been. Wow. Oh, that sounds awful.
Yes, it does. We also have Red Sparrow. This is the thriller with Jennifer Lawrence as the Russian spy.
By the end of 2019, I think every single big white actress will have their standalone film of them getting to be a hitwoman or assassin.
Yeah.
Seems like that's the go-to now.
This one's really not doing it for me. I'm not too interested.
No, it looks bad.
Yeah. Let's see what else we have here. It's an animated movie called Gnome Alone.
Oh, yeah.
You know, there's also an animated movie called Sherlock Gnomes coming out very soon.
These gnomes are... It's the year of the gnomes.
Gnomes are taking over.
You're going to be doing so much this year. It's going to be incredible.
And we have Foxtrot coming out. This is one that I'm interested in.
Yeah, this is supposed to be really good.
I've heard nothing but amazing things about that one. Glad it's finally coming out. Got Goldstone. I'm not too sure what that
looks
is.
Terrible. Just that poster alone.
Yeah, I mean, doesn't look great.
No.
Leaning on some rocks with some shotguns.
Do they both have shotguns?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm looking at a small thumbnail. I thought the guy on the acoustic guitar.
That's what I thought too. I thought that they were holding guitars too, and then I clicked on the poster to make it bigger.
Okay, okay.
They're just holding some. They're just holding some shotguns.
All right.
Let's see what else we have here. The Vanishing of Sydney Hall. It doesn't look good. Oh, Lucy.
That has Josh Hartnett.
It does. It does have Josh Hartnett. Midnighters. That's a horror movie I'm somewhat interested in. Souvenir. Little Isabelle Huppert action. Got a movie called Ravenous. I feel like there's a lot of movies called Ravenous.
Yeah. I would think that after a while.
I think it might be a Netflix.
Is
that a Netflix one?
You can't call it. You shouldn't be able to call your movie Ravenous. Moratorium on Ravenous as the title.
Yeah, that's a Netflix one.
Oh, it's a Quebec.
Let's see. We have Mohawk. Actually, you know what? I think that's still under embargo.
Oh. You're never going to be able to talk about it.
No, I'm not. It was cut out last week, but I went in and talked all about it, and then I realized it was under embargo. So to cut it out.
I hope that's a new running thing on the show, is you wanting to mention Mohawk and then realize it's still under embargo.
It just keeps getting pushed back forever.
For like 3 years. And then finally the embargo lifts and you forget to talk about it.
Well, that has happened before where there'll be a movie that will get super early and then I'll watch it and have a review and then just forget to publish the review. Let's see what else we have here. They Remain. This is another horror movie that I'm actually somewhat interested in. Got Submission. I think it's one with Stanley Tucci. Eat Me. Not sure what that's about.
Over the course of one torturous night, a suicidal woman and the violent home intruder that saved her life test the limits of human endurance and the boundaries of forgiveness.
Ooh. All right. And then we have a movie called Don't Talk to Irene. Looks like it might be a documentary. Let's see what we got on VOD this week. We got Flint Town.
All right.
That's a Netflix one. Flint documentary. Got The Lullaby. It's a horror movie. Got Ravenous, as we previously mentioned. Midnighters, also coming out. That's on Friday. Let's see. I think there might be some coming out on Tuesday. What's that? The 27th. We have Five Doctors, Cruel Summer, Hangman, Actors of Sound, which is a documentary about Foley artists, and then that's it. Yep.
That could be interesting.
Yeah.
I always find Foley artists really interesting.
It's a really cool, it's a really cool job. They do a lot of really cool stuff. Let's see what we have on Blu-ray this week. Zero Dark 30 is getting a 4K release. We've got Coco. That's the Disney Pixar one. 3 Billboards Outside Ebbing, Missouri is getting a release. Basket Case from 1982 coming out on Arrow. If you haven't seen Basket Case, I would recommend it. It's a bonkers movie. And it is so funny. Murder on the Orient Express. Disney's releasing Lady and the Tramp on Blu-ray.
Yeah.
I feel like they've done that before, but
I think they do it like every 3-4 years.
Yeah, it's weird. They open up the vault, then they close the vault.
That's right.
I don't know if that's like a diamond edition. Might be.
Oh, man, I hope so.
Mighty Joe Young from 1998 getting a 20th anniversary edition. I know everybody's going to be picking that one up. Rocket Man from 1997 is also getting a 20th anniversary edition. I think we had Ryan watch that.
I just love that everyone celebrates anniversaries
like
now.
Rocket Man, though? Like,
that's why I love it. That's why I love it. You have some of these movies that are either A, just terrible, or B, no one really cared about at all. And they're still like 20th anniversary. It's like no one cares.
It's just weird. Hangman is coming out. That's going to be a Blu-ray and VOD release. That's with Al Pacino. Looks terribly generic. Nocturama is coming out on Blu-ray. That was one of my favorite movies of the year last year, so recommend checking that out. It's on Netflix though, so I'd maybe just watch it on Netflix.
So, yeah, I gotta catch up with that one. If you were thinking of sitting down and watching maybe just don't do that and watch Nocturama instead.
There you go. Yeah.
Just save your night.
What do we have on Criterion this week?
Oh, we have one, and it's a period piece.
Oh boy.
Tony Richardson's Tom Jones from 1963. Yeah.
All right. That's it.
Period piece. Yeah. I don't know anything about it. It's got Albert Finney.
Okay.
That's it.
All right. I think that's going to do it for this week. Thank you so much for tuning in. You can send us your questions and topics to feedback@filmpulse.net. Follow us on Twitter @FilmPulseNet, @FilmPulseKevin. If you have a minute, take a look at our Patreon page, patreon.com/FilmPulse. Consider helping us out by becoming a subscriber. For Kevin Rakestraw, my name's Adam Patterson. We'll see you next week.